Hey folks, welcome back to the Via Pinstriping page. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to start and just do a little design. I was going to try to do like a 10-minute design, but I don't know if you could see the outline of my wrist there. I've lost my Casio, my very expensive $23 Casio. So I don't have a stopwatch right now. I used to set up my computer off to the side and kind of do a little angle, and like you could see the countdown from the computer, but I don't have that set up anymore. I'm set up a little differently. So we're just gonna mess around. We'll see what we come up with. Currently I'm thinking I'm gonna see if I can like make it go out kind of like in the middle and sort of do something diamond-esque. That's about the only thing that I have in my mind. So what we're gonna do is we started out in the middle, pulled out slight arch, right? I'm gonna do that again. Start in the middle. I am using the Kafka #1 scroller, which is currently my favorite brush. I use it for design work and for scrolling. Traditional designs and scroll designs. Now, I think we're gonna do a little cross here. I'm gonna go from down to up because it's easier for my wrist to manipulate that versus trying to go like that. And on this side, I'm actually gonna go from top to bottom because my wrist, it's easier for me to manipulate this way on this side, right? Now keep in mind when you do these designs, any design that is a symmetrical design, you wanna start for the most part in the middle and work your way outward. I've seen some folks that do it from the outside in, and usually kind of there's something missing. There's like a disconnect. Not always, but I feel like sometimes there's a disconnect because they're trying to fill in the center. Now, there's some folks that clearly, like Steve Chiseka, he uses a strip of tape in the middle. He does his outsides, but he does it very, very, very close. So it's almost working from the center out. Technically still from at least the inside out, not necessarily the center. So we're gonna go in. We're gonna go in. I kind of want this middle to be a little bit kind of complicated, right? I kind of want a lot of the movement to be happening in the middle. So that's what I'm trying to consider. Let's see, I'm gonna go out some further out. Come back in, right? Again, further out. Now when I say diamond shape, I'm just kind of thinking, right, like a bulky middle. You know, a thinner top, thinner bottom, bulky middle. Versus, I don't know, you know, everything up at the top and it coming down into a point, or vice versa, you know, bottom heavy. So this is something you might do on a hood or on a motorcycle tank, right? We're just gonna kick that off to the side. I'm gonna go in. And this is where, in my opinion, this brush really saves you a lot of trouble because I don't have to twist anything, right? I'm just kind of pushing to the side. When it comes to tight curves, I've really yet to find anything that's as good. There are some very, very good comparisons, some very good options, I mean, out on the market. My friend Tom Hudak makes a long handle scroller that I like. I did have to trim it just a little bit, but I know for the most part I've never had any success trimming scrollers because Usually if you get a bad scroller, it's more of a situation where they look like a spork, right? Like let's say this is the tip. Well, these Kafkas come to a real fine point. You get this tiny little itty bitty, almost like a microscopic kind of frayed end, which allows this to grip so good. But on like some of the scrollers that I've gotten that have been bad, other brands or other scrollers, the tip will have these 5 or 6 hairs just sticking out like a spork, and they're always like lopsided, like almost kind of like a sword-ish. But the one I got from my buddy Tom Hudak, I think it's called the TNT PB&J. It had sort of like the frayed tip like these Kafkas do, except it was like a manageable group. So I just kind of chopped it off and I was off to the races. I did enjoy. I still enjoy working with it. I have I have one. I have 2, I think. I should have done the video with that, but just didn't think about it. I always reach for my Kafkas. I don't want to struggle. I am spoiled. And you know what, folks? This, when I got into this stuff, what caught my eye originally and what still catches my eye with pinstriping is the design. The design itself. It's probably one of the main reasons that I still don't do a whole lot of customer work, right? I still like to make art. I'm comfortable. I'm not in a dirty garage. I'm in the air conditioning. I'm making art. I'm making what I want to, and that's what caught my eye. So I feel like, I don't know, some folks would say like, well, you have to be, you should be doing more cars and motorcycles. Like, why aren't you doing more cars and motorcycles? I never really cared about other people's builds. Like, at no point did I get into this because I was like, oh, I want to improve somebody else's build. I don't really care about other people's cars. Like, I like the design aspect. I like design. I like the art. And that's why I got into it. And I gotta, sometimes I gotta remind myself that. I still do customer work, and I like doing, because sometimes it's like set and setting, right? You can make art on panels all day, but sometimes it's like the cool factor is like 1,000 when you do it badass on a car or badass on a motorcycle or badass on a truck. Like, it's rolling art, right? I get that, but at the same time, it's not exactly why I got into this. I got into this because I liked the designs. Hell, half the time I had no idea what it was on, It's just a cool design. Like a picture of a cool design on a hood. So that's why, if you follow me, you see a lot of art. You see a lot of panels, and I'm okay with it. I'm not lying to anybody. I'm not lying to myself about what I like and what I do. It's mostly art. And every now and then, I get somebody that's super cool that wants me to do some art on their vehicle. And, if it works out, I do it for them. If it doesn't, I pass it along to friends that are nearby or other artists that I know of that are nearby. I pass off a lot of work. Either I'm still not comfortable doing it or it just doesn't really appeal to me. And I'm okay with it. I got a full-time job. I have a part-time job. And I have pinstriping also helps give me some income. I didn't explain what I was doing the whole time. I'm sorry, I got in a tangent. How's everybody doing? It's Memorial Day, so, well, it's not Memorial Day yet. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, so, try to consider those that have lost their lives to give us the freedoms that we have here in the U.S. And if you're gonna drink responsibly. Always give the troops their respect, because The ultimate sacrifice. I still think service people shouldn't have to pay taxes. That should be a part of what they get, you know what I mean? A tax-free life. Or at least a tax break, sheesh. I'm just giving it a little bit of bulk here, right? Kind of a little bit of extra meat on the bone. Right? Just a little, I don't know, a little bit of life. Try not to do the original just teardrop shape, right? So we got the teardrop that kind of breaks up into this weird thing, right? Now, the nice thing about pinstriping is you can get away with doing things that they don't have to touch, right? So all of this kind of touches right now. And I want to extend this outward. I feel like I've accomplished my teardrop shape, right? But I feel like these little squares here are begging for something, right? So I'm gonna try to pull this way. I would normally get in front of it and do it the other way, but the camera's in a bad spot. So I'm gonna try to flick it off upside down and backwards, right? So let's see if it works out. I'm just gonna do a teardrop shape. It's gonna start right here. It's gonna follow that top, and I'm just gonna flick it out, right? So that worked out. I got a decent little point. You know, the finer you can get that, the cooler it looks. If you do it, if you build it backwards, you don't get that real pretty flick, right? So let's do that. Let's try to consider my crossing points, right? So it's going to cross right there. It's going to give me a little triangle, kind of, and it's going to end roughly past the middle of the square on the lower end of it. Those are all things that you want to consider when you're doing these designs. I'm paletting in between. Sorry, you're not being able to see that, but I'm making sure. Now, when I do this, when I do these teardrop shapes, I overload the brush by about 30% more, and I load it to where there's more on the tip than I would normally have on one of these lines, because I know what I'm about to do. So when you're paletting and you're learning this stuff, that's why it's so hard to show people kind of paletting, right? Because each stroke would get paletted differently, depending on the length or the move you're about to make, right? So it's not always the same. That's why this is so hard to teach. That's why I have so many videos on the same topic, just trying to get folks to understand, you know. Now, I like that design. I feel like it could use a couple of little choice dots, right? So maybe right here, maybe one in the middle, something like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squeegee off the paint with a popsicle stick. Off on my paletting surface, right? And I'm gonna dip the back of the brush, that little point, which is the nice part about these Kafkas, you get a real nice fine point. I'm gonna dip it into the pile of paint where I just squeegeed it off. And that leaves me with some material there, right? Be careful because it can be stringy at times. So let's put a dot there, right? And I'm gonna try to match it. Never really been too good with the dots. I have a damaged right eye, so I can't gauge distance very well, which is why I always use grid lines, or at least focal points of some sort, you know. Let's put one here at the bottom, right? And I'm gonna put one at the very top. fun little design there. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get this paint off of here because it's gonna end up all over my hands as it's starting to, right? I'm gonna palette. Now at this point, just in that little bit of time, the paint has dried up quite a bit into the brush, right? So when I'm paletting, now I have to cut into the paint real good and reduce and reduce and reduce to try to get the paint back to normal. That fast, the paint will dry up. Even worse if you're outside in the sun and it's humid. It's like a constant battle, right? So I'm paletting right now, reducing with naphtha. It's my choice of paint reducers right now currently is naphtha. I feel like it's a little bit more cleaner. You could find it at the same places that you can find mineral spirits. Mineral spirits to me always felt a little oily. It's perfectly fine in general. It's just a personal preference, right? I used mineral spirits for years and years and years, and I would not hesitate to use it these days. I just happen to reach for the naphtha now. And I'm gonna give it my little swoosh. And again, the reason I do that swoosh is in case I can't get it quite centered. I use that swoosh as sort of a fake to recenter it. So if I need to, I could always move that swoosh a little bit over. And there you have it, folks. A little design. Looks like that took me roughly 15 minutes. I got paint on my fingers now, so I'll work on getting that off. I hope everybody has a safe holiday. If you do have to work like I do, I hope you're making triple pay. Thank you to all the service men and women out there. I salute you, and have a good day.